Yo, today I shall be looking at what my pelican friend here is holding. Hi Bill. The Ferris wheel press Marquise fountain pen. You may know Ferris wheel press, sorry, a bit dusty. You may know Ferris wheel press predominantly as a ink brand, ink maker, as did I. But they have come out with a few fountain pens of late, and this is one of them. So I've hired this, excuse me, from John through pensharing.com. Very kindly consented to me jabbering on about it online. You've heard me wang on about pen sharing before, I'm sure. Go and look it up, great service. Now, so the Ferris wheel press Marquise, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is aluminium faceted barrel fountain pen with gold plated brass details. So it is nice. It's a little bit different shape wise. You've got those facets coming up in patterns up the side there, and then just tapering off into a rounded pointed back finial really, and then you've got your conical finial on the top, quite pointy but not sharp pointy, just you could give someone a little jab if you really wanted to. So no clip on this, and it is a screw cap. Let us move Bill out of the way here, which unscrews in. Let's see. That's a fair point. How do I track this? Hang on a second. See if I can really keep track of it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hang on. Right, I've had an ingenious idea. So I'm going to put a little sticker on that side there. Right, don't worry, John, I'll clean it off afterwards. So, try again. 1, 1/2, 3/4, about 2 turns there, okay? I'll, don't worry, I won't leave any. It's fine. There's no sticky bits on there, mate. It's not a problem. Right, so 2 turns to unscrew. And that reveals a very nice patterned section, as I mentioned, in apparently gold-plated brass. And then a 2-tone number 6 steel nib with some very nice detailing on there. The Ferris FWP for Ferris wheel press 2010 and medium. Yes, it's all upside down. Hey ho. Plastic feeds. It says on their website that this is Yovo nib housing, so presumably a Yovo nib, or they may have used a different nib in a Yovo housing, not sure. But if it's in a Yovo housing, you could swap it out with whatever you want. However, that is very nice detailing there, so I'm not sure why you'd want to do that unless you'd absolutely hammered your nib doing something or other. So yeah, some very nice detailing on the section. Your Ferris wheel press around the edge there, some very nice columns. Look like columns. So that's nice. Adds a little bit of texture and grip, but it's not sharp, it's not intrusive. I actually find that nicely comfortable, and I do like that detail. I think it's very nice and decorative. It's up my alley, shall we say. But yeah, that's not that doesn't feel intrusive on the hand. If anything, some metal sections can be a little bit slippery or hard to grip properly for some people. That does add a little bit of texture there. It's quite nice. Cartridge converter pen with converter. Is it branded? Yes, it is. Standard international converter, and you've got a little O-ring there just to seal the barrel back onto the section. As you can see, it's all metal, on metal, except that O-ring there. That cushions that nicely to close. Excuse me. As I mentioned, no cap, and does not post. I'm not going to do it too hard, it's not mine, but it does not post. Won't even, I suppose you could technically perch it, but what would be the point? It's fine, John, it's fine. Don't worry about it, honestly. Calm down. Yeah. So these come in, so the options I could find were blue, purple, black, and then pearl drop, which is kind of like a pale lilac in colour. And they appear to only come with fine or medium nibs, at least that I could see on various websites I checked. And they come in at around about 150 to 160 pounds, which obviously would be equivalent in whatever currency you use. That is British pounds. Is that a little bit steep? Maybe. But let's have a look at some measurements quick. So, capped and uncapped, obviously from the back of the pen to the tip of the nib, and does not post. So the barrel is 12.1 up here, and then just tapering down to 11.5. I've kind of measured it to the back of the facets, and then obviously it tapers off very narrow down here. But so there to there, 12.1 to 11.5, and the section is 10.2 up here, and 9.7 just down here. There's no kind of flare out. So if you're a finger wanderer down onto your nib, it doesn't sound brilliant, doesn't it? Finger wanderer. Maybe I need a different term. If you're a finger creeper, no, it's no better. No, I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead. If your fingers, yeah, they might, right? Okay. But yeah, other than that, very comfortable. It's probably a little bit smaller than my optimum size and girth, etc. But it's a very nice weight. So capped 32.4. Uncapped 24.7, and the cap itself 7.7. So most of the weight is in the pen rather than the cap, and it isn't very nicely balanced. It sits nicely. It's not too hefty, but it just sits nicely. You've got a bit of extra weight down here in the front, presumably the brass in the section, but it does balance nice and just rests in my hand there nicely. Obviously without posting it, because you can't. But if no clip's a deal breaker or no posting's a deal breaker for you, it's not your lucky day on that one. Shall we look at a comparison with some other pens? Okay then. So here we are with a TWSBI, a Lamy Safari and a TWSBI Eco. Going mad in my old age. Just for your comparison with what you might say a standard starter pens thereabouts. So a little bit shorter and a little bit thinner. There or thereabouts. Then if we put in some oversized pens, so you've got a Pelican M1000 and a Wingsung 630, which is the size of a Mont Blanc 13149, and I'll just chuck in Pelican M800 there as well, just so you can have a general idea of the size comparison. If I was going to say it was kind of in the bracket and competition and similarity of something else, potentially a Diplomat Excellence or something like a Waterman Expert. You kind of got metal pens, lacquered. I know this isn't lacquered, it's aluminium and whatnot, but kind of metal pens, simple, steel nib, cartridge converters. So you can see it's kind of in the ballpark there, but even then a little bit shorter, and I'd say comparable on girth with the Expert. Maybe the Excellence is just a little bit thicker. Shall we look at a rating sample? Okay, let's do that. So let's see how it writes. So we have a Ferris wheel press, Marquise, and this is a steel medium nib, and the ink is Diamine Oxford blue. Been leaning into darker blues, kind of blue blacks a bit recently. Right. it is very nice and smooth. Just a tiny weeny bit of hint of feedback, but not in an unpleasant fashion. Let's just try it a bit quicker. I did detect a couple of little tiny hard starts there, and maybe a skip there before I went back over it. Yeah, just tiny weeny little hard starts there. There you go. Maybe that one was a hard start as well rather than a skip. But yeah, but I'm sure that can be sorted out with a quick little tune, but it's not my pen, so I'm not gonna. It flows nicely without being too wet. It's probably on your finer side of the medium spectrum, I would say. Reasonably. You can get a little tiny bit of variation out of there, but I'm not going to push it any harder than that. Not my pen. So, yes. So I do like... let me unlock my focus. There we go. So I do like the different style. I do like the facets. I'm quite partial to a faceted pen. I like the feel of the finish on the aluminium. No clip doesn't bother me too much, unless it was something that I wanted to take to work. I do like it in a shirt pocket. So if that's you, that's going to be a bit of a pain. But, you know, other than that, not a deal breaker for me. Posting's not a deal breaker for me because unless it's something pretty small, I don't post at all anyway. It's a very nice balance in the hand. I like the fact that it's got that little bit of extra weight in the section there, so it just really does sit nicely where you want it. And this bat is quite comfortable. It's nice and smooth. It sits there. There's a bit of weight in it, not too much. And yeah, standard international cartridge converter. Great, easy cleaning. Suits me. So yeah, it is a nice pen. However, if it was me, I might think that 150-ish. So I had a little look around a few websites. I can see it for 150, 160, that kind of area. Honestly, I'd probably plump for, well, I would personally. I'd plump for the Diplomat Excellence myself. I think it's a little bit more hefty. I mean, this is brass up the section and then lacquered over on top, so it's a little bit heavier. But that's a me thing if you don't like the extra weight. But obviously this is a bit more traditional, as it were, pen shape, clip, etc. This is a little bit different, which is nice. So look, it's going to be a subjective. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but that's kind of your higher end of a metal steel nibbed pen. But I do appreciate there's extra work got into shaping of the barrel and the cap, and obviously all the extra little decorative detail, which is very, very nice. So I'm not getting down on it. I'm just saying, you know, it is a little bit perhaps higher than you might think, but there is extra work that's gone into that, so I can see why. I'm not saying it's overpriced, but it does put you in different brackets. This is probably more my cup of tea. I just love the Excellence. I think it's a great pen. I think, you know. But yeah, thank you, John, for hiring this to me and consenting for me to bang on about it. Check out Pen Sharing if you haven't already, guys and girls. He's not paying me, by the way. I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.